Hi class, I'm your virtual science helper, Mr. Frizzle, and today we're going to learn about living and non-living things. So, what do you think it takes to actually be alive? Do you think just because something's moving, it means it's alive? Or if something was alive, is it still alive? Well, I've got some things here with us today. I've got a toy car, I've got my dancing duck here, and my friend Mr. Penguin. Also, I've collected some things from outside. I've got some leaves, some sticks, some flowers, and some seeds. Now, we're going to distinct whether or not these things are living or non-living. So, let's start with the car. I've got a car here, and if we pull this car back and let it go, it should move all by itself, or the wheels move by themselves. Does that mean that this car is alive because it can move by itself? Or how about my friend, the dancing duck here? Does that mean he's alive because he's always dancing? And even if I wind up my friend Mr. Penguin here, he can also move, but is Mr. Penguin alive? I'm not sure. And we've got a leaf that I pulled from off of a tree. It's a little brown now because we're getting into the fall season. And I've got a stick, also came from a living tree. I've got myself a flower here, and a seashell, and some seeds. So, how can we distinct whether or not these things are living or non-living? Well, let's see. First of all, our car here is made out of plastic. Is plastic a living thing or something that's made inside of a factory? I would say that this car isn't living. Now, Mr. Dancing Duck, he's moving all by himself, so he has to be alive, but he's also made of plastic. And also, if you see down here, there's a little solar panel. The only reason Mr. Duck can dance is because the sun or any light actually activates his dancing. And Mr. Penguin, he only moves after we wind him up, so he can't be living either. So we'll place the car, the dancing duck, and our walking penguin in our non-living section. Now, I got this leaf here. I've got this leaf off of a tree. We all know that trees are living, but this leaf has fallen off the tree and now it's no longer green, it's brown. So even though this leaf was once alive, it is now non-living because it's not a part of the living tree anymore. So that should go in our non-living pile. Now, we've got a stick that I've also found on the tree. Now this stick was once living, but now, because it's not a part of the living tree anymore, it is a non-living object, even though it was once alive. Now, I've got a flower here. We all know that flowers can grow and flowers are living things, and flowers actually reproduce themselves. So there are seeds inside of here, there's pollination going on inside of here as well, but is this flower living or non-living? Now real flowers, those are living. This is just my friend the flake flower. And he isn't living, but he does demonstrate what a living plant would be. He has his petals, he has his stamen, he has his filaments, and he has a stem. And he has petals, but this is a fake flower, so it is non-living, but it does represent a living object. So I'm gonna actually place that in the middle. Next, I've got some seeds here. These seeds are actually from corn. Now we know if we plant seeds, seeds actually grow into living things, but as of right now, they look kind of like non-living objects, but we have to give them all the things they need, such as soil, water, food, and sunlight for them to become living things. As of now, they don't look like they're living, but giving the right amount of treatment and the right amount of care, these can become living objects. So we'll put that in the living pile. And here, we've got a seashell. Most seashells we find inside the water, and there's usually two, one on top of the other with something awesome on the inside. But most seashells aren't actually living. It's what's inside the shell that's actually living. These are actually just made up of calcium, which your bones are made out of. Calcium. And so, even though this is like a housing for something that is living, this is a non-living object as well. Now, I've got a nice surprise for you guys. I actually have one of my friends here. His name's Mr. Magoo. And we're going to determine whether or not Mr. Magoo is actually a living or non-living. Got my friend here, Mr. Magoo. So do you think Mr. Magoo here is living or non-living? Well, he's moving by himself just like the duck and the penguin. And he seems trying to get away from me. If I place him down, it's actually pretty fast. So the difference between Mr. Magoo and Mr. Duck is Mr. Magoo here actually needs to breathe, he actually needs to eat, and he actually needs a lot more things to function. If we didn't give Mr. Magoo any food or water, he wouldn't move. But because we give him food and water and he has to sleep and he moves on his own without me having to wind him up or put him in the sun, then he is classified as definitely a living object. So, say goodbye, Mr. Magoo. Goodbye, Mr. Magoo. Goodbye. So, we've classified things into two separate categories, living and non-living. We know that living things move, but we also know that non-living things can also move. We also know that living things need food, they need air, they need sleep, they need sunlight. Plants also need sunlight. So, we know that things that are living require things that are non-living, and things that are non-living require things that are living. The only difference is, when we're living, we need things like food, air, and water. Things that are non-living don't need those types of things to actually live. I'm your virtual science helper, Mr. Frizzle. You guys have a great day. Bye.